You know what they say about the calm before the storm? Complete bullshit. There's always a warning if you're smart enough to listen. The warning came Tuesday night during what my wife Erin called her networking dinner. I called it a circus for narcissists, but nobody asked my opinion. I'm Nate Morrison, 44 years old, ex-military logistics turned warehouse operations manager. Not glamorous, but it pays the bills and keeps food on our table in this gossipy New England town where everyone knows everyone's business. My wife Erin sells real estate and thinks that makes her some kind of social queen. Tonight, she'd invited her usual crew of sycophants and one particular asshole who'd been grinding my gears for months. Nate, can you grab more wine from the basement? Erin's voice carried that fake sweetness she used when company was over. She stood in our kitchen wearing a dress that cost more than my weekly paycheck, playing hostess like she was running for mayor. Sure thing, honey. I kept my tone neutral. No point starting World War III before dessert. The dining room buzzed with conversation. Marcy Chen, Erin's gossipy best friend, was already 3 glasses deep and getting loud. Tasha Williams nodded along to everything Erin said, like a bobblehead doll. Phil Martinez, my buddy from the warehouse, looked as comfortable as a cat in a dog kennel. My 17-year-old daughter Kim sat at the far end of the table, scrolling her phone and occasionally rolling her eyes at the adult stupidity surrounding her. And then there was Logan Hayes. 38 years old, local fitness influencer with abs he photographed more than most people do their kids. 6'2", perfectly styled hair, and the kind of cocky smile that made me want to introduce his face to my fist. He'd been sniffing around Erin for months under the guise of business opportunities and fitness consulting. Tonight, he sat right next to her, close enough that their knees touched. So, Nate, Logan said as I returned with the wine, Erin tells me you manage a warehouse. That must be fulfilling. The way he said fulfilling made it sound like I cleaned sewers for a living. A few people chuckled. Erin smiled but didn't defend me. It is, I replied, pouring wine with steady hands. I move things from point A to point B efficiently, kind of like how some people move from marriage to marriage, but with better planning. The table went quiet. Logan's smile faltered for half a second before returning full force. Well, at least someone's keeping Erin busy, he said with a laugh. Though from what I hear, she's been plenty busy lately. Good thing someone's taking care of her needs. The double meaning hit the table like a slap. Marcy giggled nervously. Tasha studied her salad like it held the secrets of the universe. Phil raised his eyebrows and took a long drink. Kim looked up from her phone with interest. Logan, Erin said quickly, but she was smiling. Actually smiling. What exactly are you implying? I asked, setting the wine bottle down carefully. Nothing at all, Logan said, still grinning. Just that Erin's a woman with appetites. Lucky guy who gets to satisfy them. The son of a bitch was talking about screwing my wife at my own dinner table, and everyone knew it. Including Erin, who was blushing like a schoolgirl instead of shutting him down. Nate, Erin said sharply when she saw my expression, don't be rude to our guest. Rude? I looked around the table. He just implied he's fucking my wife, and I'm the rude one. Nate! Erin's face went red. Apologize. Right now. The table held its breath. Logan leaned back in his chair with that smug smile, waiting for me to back down like a good little husband. Marcy's eyes were wide with excitement at the drama. Tasha looked like she wanted to disappear. Phil was ready to back me up if things got physical. Kim was recording with her phone. I stood up slowly, looked directly at Erin, then at Logan. No, I said quietly. I don't think I will. Excuse me? Erin's voice went ice cold. You heard me. If you want someone to apologize to your boyfriend, find another husband. Logan started to stand, but I was already moving toward the kitchen. Behind me, Erin was hissing something about embarrassment and respect. Logan was saying something about handling this like men. Phil scraped his chair back, probably following me. In the kitchen, I gripped the counter and took 3 deep breaths. Phil appeared beside me. Jesus, man. You okay? Peachy, I muttered. Just watching my wife defend the guy who's screwing her. You sure about that? Before I could answer, voices drifted from the dining room. Marcy was talking to Tasha in what she probably thought was a whisper. I mean, everyone knows about Aaron and Logan. She's been at his place more than her own house. They go at it like rabbits. Poor Nate's the last to know. Shh, Tasha hissed. He might hear you. So what? It's not like it's a secret. She told me herself that Logan's a real man, not like... well, you know. Phil's hand landed on my shoulder. Brother. I heard. My voice sounded calm, which surprised me. Inside, something was crystallizing. Not anger exactly. More like cold, calculating fury. The dinner ended 20 minutes later with awkward goodbyes and promises to do this again soon. Logan made a point of hugging Aaron goodbye, his hands lingering on her waist. She let him. After everyone left, Aaron cornered me in the kitchen while Kim disappeared upstairs. What the hell was that? She demanded. That was me not apologizing to your boyfriend for calling out his bullshit. He's not my boyfriend. God, you're so paranoid and jealous. It's embarrassing. Am I? I pulled out my phone and opened the recording app. Want to hear what your best friend said about you and Logan while you were saying goodbye? Her face went white. You recorded our guests? Just the interesting parts. I hit play. Marcy's voice filled the kitchen. She's been at his place more than her own house. They go at it like rabbits. Poor Nate's the last to know. Aaron's mouth opened and closed like a fish. Finally, that's just gossip. Marcy drinks too much. Uh-huh. I pocketed the phone. Here's what's going to happen, Aaron. You're going to decide what you want. Him or me. But you don't get both. You can't give me ultimatums. Watch me. I headed for the stairs, then turned back. Oh, and honey? If you choose him, you better hope he's got a good lawyer. Because I'm done playing nice. That night I lay in bed staring at the ceiling while Erin worked late at her office. Around midnight her phone buzzed on the nightstand. She'd left it behind in her rush to get out. I picked it up, no passcode. Sloppy. The text was from Logan. Last night was wild, babe. Round 2 tomorrow? He'll never know. Erin's reply, sent 3 hours ago. Can't wait. He's so clueless, it's almost sad. I took screenshots, then put the phone back exactly where I found it. If I was the joke, it was time to flip the punchline. Wednesday morning arrived gray and drizzling, matching my mood perfectly. Erin had stumbled in around 2 a.m., reeking of wine and cologne that definitely wasn't mine. She mumbled something about late client meeting and passed out on the couch. I let her sleep there. By 6 a.m., I was at my kitchen table with coffee and a legal pad, making lists. 20 years in military logistics taught me that successful operations require planning, resources, and patience. My cheating wife and her muscle-bound boyfriend were about to learn what happens when you underestimate the quiet guy in the corner. First, I needed real evidence. Screenshots of text messages were a good start, but I needed more. Erin was sloppy when she thought she was safe, and Logan was an attention-seeking moron who documented his entire life on social media. Between the two of them, gathering proof would be easier than inventory management. Kim wandered into the kitchen around 7, already dressed for school. My daughter had inherited my observational skills and her mother's stubborn streak. She poured cereal and sat across from me. Mom didn't come home last night, did she? She asked without looking up. She came home late. Work stuff. Kim snorted. Right. Work stuff with that gym douche. Language. Sorry. Work stuff with that gym douchebag. She met my eyes. Dad, I'm 17, not 7. I know what's going on. What's going on is between your mother and me. What's going on is Mom's cheating on you with Captain Abs and you're planning something. She gestured at my legal pad. Those aren't grocery lists. Smart kid. Too smart for her own good sometimes. Your mother's made some poor choices, I said carefully. I'm just making sure I understand the situation before I respond. Good. Kim stood up, shouldering her backpack. She's been treating you like crap for months. About time someone called her on it. After Kim left for school, I got to work. First stop, Aaron's real estate office. Pinnacle Properties occupied a converted Victorian house downtown, all exposed brick and industrial lighting designed to scream success. Aaron shared the space with 3 other agents, including her friend Heather Walsh, who used to work at my warehouse before deciding she was too good for blue-collar life. I parked across the street with a clear view of the front entrance and Aaron's silver BMW. Logan's ridiculous lifted truck was nowhere in sight, but that didn't mean anything. The guy probably had more vehicles than brain cells. Around 10 a.m., my patience paid off. Logan's truck rumbled into the parking lot, and the man himself strutted toward the building like he owned it. 15 minutes later, he and Aaron emerged together, walking close and talking quietly. They got into her BMW and drove off. I followed at a distance, my plain gray Honda invisible among the morning traffic. They headed toward the upscale part of town where Logan rented a converted loft above an art gallery. I parked 2 blocks away and walked back, staying across the street. Logan's place had large windows facing the street, no curtains, because of course Mr. Exhibitionist wouldn't want to hide his perfect life from the peasants below. I could see them clearly through the glass. Aaron pressed against the kitchen counter, Logan's hands roaming freely while she laughed at something he said. I took photos with my phone's zoom lens. Nothing pornographic, but definitely intimate. Definitely not business-related unless Aaron had expanded her services beyond real estate. My phone buzzed with a text from Phil. You alive? Heard about last night. I typed back. Alive and plotting. Beer later? Hell yes. Murphy's at 6. See you there. Murphy's Pub was the kind of working-class bar where warehouse guys and construction workers went to complain about their jobs and their wives. Not Aaron's scene, which made it perfect for private conversations. Phil was already there when I arrived, nursing a beer and watching ESPN. He looked up when I slid into the booth across from him. So, he said, want to talk about it? I showed him the photos from Logan's loft. Phil whistled low. Damn, brother. That's rough. Gets worse. I played the recording from last night's dinner. Phil's expression darkened as Marcy's voice filled our corner of the bar. What a bitch, he muttered. Both of them. What are you gonna do? Ruin them. I took a long drink. Completely, legally, and publicly. Need help? Maybe. You still talk to Sophie Hayes? Phil raised an eyebrow. Sophie was Logan's ex-wife, a sharp-tongued woman who'd divorced him 2 years ago after catching him with a yoga instructor. She'd kept his last name out of spite and now ran a successful property management company. Yeah, we grab coffee sometimes. She's good people. Why? Because the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And Sophie knows where all of Logan's bodies are buried. I'll set up a meeting. Thursday afternoon, I met Sophie at a coffee shop downtown. She was 42, attractive in a no-nonsense way, with intelligent brown eyes and graying hair she wore like a badge of honor. When Phil introduced us, her handshake was firm and her smile was predatory. So, she said after Phil left us alone, I hear Logan's moved on to married women now. How progressive of him. You don't seem surprised. Honey, I was married to that narcissistic man-child for 8 years. The only thing that surprises me is that it took this long for someone's husband to come looking for payback. Sophie had stories, lots of them. Logan's steroid use that made him paranoid and aggressive. His habit of filming his conquests without consent. his tendency to brag about his affairs to anyone who'd listen. Most importantly, his financial situation, which was far more precarious than his social media presence suggested. The fitness influencer thing barely pays the bills, Sophie explained. He's behind on rent, maxed out his credit cards, and living off the generosity of women who think they're dating a successful entrepreneur. Your wife's probably picking up dinner tabs. What about his sponsors? 3 small supplement companies and a local gym. Nothing major, and they're all image conscious. One whiff of scandal and they'll drop him like a hot rock. Hypothetically, I said, what would hurt him most? Sophie's smile turned wicked. Public humiliation. Logan's ego is everything to him. Take away his image, and you take away his power. And hypothetically, if someone wanted to make that happen. Well, Sophie leaned forward conspiratorially. I might know someone who owns his apartment building, someone who's been looking for an excuse to evict problem tenants, someone who has security cameras covering the parking lot and building entrance. That someone sounds very helpful. She can be. Especially when it comes to taking down cheating bastards who think they're untouchable. By Friday morning, I had a plan. Sophie would provide inside information and access to security footage. Phil would help with the physical aspects of my revenge. Kim, whether she knew it or not, would be my secret weapon in the social media war. But first, I needed to catch them in the act. Erin announced Friday morning that she'd be showing properties all afternoon and might be late for dinner. She kissed my cheek like nothing had changed, grabbed her purse, and headed out to her BMW. I gave her a 10-minute head start, then followed. She drove straight to Logan's building. This time, I was ready. I parked in the alley behind the art gallery and walked around to the front entrance. Sophie had given me the door code and a key to the building's utility room, which had a perfect view of Logan's loft through a small window. What I saw through that window would have destroyed most men. My wife of 18 years, naked from the waist up, straddling Logan on his couch while he groped her like a teenager. They were talking between kisses, and I could hear every word through the thin walls. He's so boring, Erin was saying. Just work and TV and sleep. No passion, no excitement. You make me feel alive again. Poor bastard probably doesn't even know how to satisfy a woman like you, Logan replied, his hands roaming freely. Good thing you found a real man. I recorded everything, video, audio, timestamps. When they moved to the bedroom, I left. I'd seen enough and I had work to do. That evening, Erin came home around 8 with takeout Chinese food and a story about difficult clients. She seemed relaxed, almost cheerful, probably thinking she'd gotten away with another afternoon of adultery. How was your day? She asked, settling beside me on the couch. Productive, I said, not looking away from the TV. Very productive. Saturday morning, phase 1 began. Saturday dawned crisp and clear, perfect weather for destroying lives. I woke up early, made coffee, and reviewed my battle plan one more time. Erin was still asleep, probably dreaming about her muscle-bound boyfriend. She had no idea that by sunset, her carefully constructed world would be rubble. Step 1 was the easiest. Logan Hayes, fitness influencer extraordinaire, was a creature of habit. Every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. sharp, he posted his weekend motivation video from the parking lot behind Murphy's gym. Same spot, same time, same narcissistic routine of flexing for his phone camera while dispensing life advice to his 14,000 followers. I arrived at Murphy's at 8:30 and parked where I could watch the back lot. Sure enough, Logan's lifted truck pulled in at 8:55. He spent 5 minutes checking his hair in the mirror, then set up his phone on the truck's tailgate and started his performance. Good morning, champions, his voice carried across the parking lot. It's Saturday, which means it's time to push your limits and become the best version of yourself. While he flexed and pontificated, I got to work. Sophie had provided Logan's spare truck key. Apparently, he'd never bothered to get it back after their divorce. I popped the hood and located the air intake system. The bag of frozen shrimp I'd bought yesterday had spent the night thawing in my garage. By now, they were perfectly rotten and smelled like death itself. I stuffed them deep into Logan's air vents, making sure they were wedged in tight where he'd never find them. Then I left a note under his windshield wiper. Smells like something died in here. Kind of like your reputation. A concerned friend? I was back in my car before Logan finished his video. He climbed into his truck, started the engine, and immediately began gagging. The smell of rotting seafood filled his cab as the heater kicked in. He jumped out, retching, just as 3 other gym members walked by. "Dude, what died in there?" one of them asked. Logan's face was green. He tried to play it off, but the smell was overwhelming. He had to leave his truck windows open and drive home reeking like a dumpster behind a fish market. I followed at a distance, recording his misery on my phone. When he got out at his building, still gagging and cursing, I caught it all on video. The sight of Mr. Perfect reduced to a vomiting mess was deeply satisfying, but that was just the appetizer. Phase 2 required more finesse. Aaron had an open house scheduled for Sunday afternoon at a $500,000 colonial on Elm Street. Big money, big commission, and guaranteed to draw a crowd of nosy neighbors and serious buyers. She'd been talking about it all week, calling it her breakout listing that would establish her as a serious player in the local market. Sunday arrived with the kind of perfect weather that made houses look like magazine covers. I dressed in my best casual clothes, khakis, polo shirt, the uniform of suburban respectability, and drove to Elm Street. The colonial was gorgeous, I had to admit. Aaron stood on the front porch in a navy blue dress that probably cost more than my monthly salary, greeting potential buyers with her professional smile. She was good at this part of her job. I'd give her that. Charming, knowledgeable, the kind of agent who made people want to trust her with the biggest purchase of their lives. Too bad she was a lying, cheating snake. I waited until the house was busy with visitors, then walked up the front steps like any other interested buyer. Erin's smile faltered when she saw me. "Nate? What are you doing here?" "Looking at houses," I said loudly enough for nearby couples to hear. "Kim's going to college next year, and I figure we might want to downsize. You know, start fresh." "We haven't discussed downsizing. We haven't discussed a lot of things." I walked past her into the foyer, where a well-dressed couple was examining the hardwood floors. Beautiful place. "Are you folks working with Erin?" "Yes," the woman said. "She's been very helpful." "Oh, she's helpful all right." Erin goes above and beyond for her clients, sometimes way above and beyond, if you know what I mean. The couple looked confused. Erin appeared at my elbow, her face tight with anger. "Nate, could I speak with you privately?" "Why?" "We're all friends here." I turned back to the couple. "I'm Erin's husband, by the way. Married 18 years. Well, married to me for 18 years. She's been married to her work lately, and her personal trainer. Very dedicated to fitness, my wife." The woman's eyebrows went up. The man looked uncomfortable. Erin grabbed my arm. "Kitchen." "Now." She dragged me through the dining room into the kitchen, where 2 more couples were examining granite countertops and stainless steel appliances. "What the hell are you doing?" she hissed. "Supporting my wife's career." "Isn't that what good husbands do? You're embarrassing me." "Am I? Huh. How do you think I felt Tuesday night when your boyfriend talked about satisfying your needs at our dinner table?" One of the couples had stopped looking at appliances and started listening to us. I raised my voice slightly. "Speaking of Logan, how is he? I heard he had some car trouble yesterday. Something about a bad smell. You know how it is with guys like that. Sometimes their lives just start to stink." Erin's face went white. "You didn't." "Didn't what?" "I have no idea what you're talking about." I smiled at the eavesdropping couple. "Sorry, folks. Marriage stuff. You understand." The woman whispered something to her husband. They both looked at Erin with new interest, then quietly moved toward the back door. "You're ruining my open house. I'm just being myself. Isn't that what you always tell me to do? Be authentic?" More people were drifting toward the kitchen, drawn by the sound of raised voices. Nothing attracted suburbanites like domestic drama. "Ladies and gentlemen," I announced to the growing audience, "I'd like to thank you all for coming today. My wife, Erin, has put a lot of work into this listing. Of course, she's been putting a lot of work into other things too, like her fitness routine with Logan Hayes. You might know him, local influencer, specializes in personal training." The crowd was hanging on every word now. Erin looked like she wanted to disappear into the granite countertops. "In fact," I continued, "if you're looking for a realtor who really commits to her clients, Erin's your girl. She'll go the extra mile. Sometimes she'll go the extra mile to someone else's apartment, but hey, that's dedication." "Stop," Erin whispered. "Stop what?" "I'm just telling people what kind of service they can expect. Full service, you might say. Very hands-on approach to client relations." A woman near the back of the crowd gasped. A man chuckled. Someone was definitely recording with their phone. Erin pushed through the crowd and fled toward the front door. I followed at a leisurely pace, nodding to the stunned potential buyers. "Sorry, folks, looks like the open house is over early. But hey, if you need a realtor, I'm sure Erin will be available, when she's not busy with her other commitments." I walked out to find Erin standing by her BMW, tears streaming down her face and her phone pressed to her ear. "Logan, they know. He told everyone. My career is ruined." She saw me approaching and ended the call. "I hope you're happy," she snarled. "Getting there," I replied, "but I'm not done yet." That evening, Kim showed me the videos that were already circulating on social media. Someone had indeed recorded my performance at the open house, and it was spreading through local Facebook groups like wildfire. The comments were brutal. "OMG, did you see Erin Morrison's husband call her out for cheating? About time someone put that stuck-up bitch in her place. I always knew she was fake. Poor guy. Who's Logan Hayes? Anyone know?" That last comment made me smile. By tomorrow, everyone would know exactly who Logan Hayes was. Monday morning brought phase 3. I'd spent Sunday evening creating a fake email account and gathering everything I needed for the next stage of my campaign. Logan's sponsors were about to learn some interesting facts about their golden boy. The first email went to Apex Nutrition, the supplement company that paid Logan to pose with their protein powders. "Dear Apex marketing team, I thought you should know that your spokesman Logan Hayes was recently caught on video having a public meltdown in a gym parking lot. He appeared to be under the influence of something and was vomiting uncontrollably. As a concerned customer, I thought you should be aware that this kind of behavior might not align with your brand values. Video attached." The second email went to Iron Temple Gym, where Logan taught classes, to whom it may concern. I attended one of Logan Hayes' fitness classes last week and was disturbed by his unprofessional behavior. He spent most of the session talking about his sexual conquests and making inappropriate comments about married women in the community. Several participants left early. I've attached video evidence of his recent erratic behavior for your review. The third email went to FlexFit Apparel. "Dear FlexFit team, I'm writing to inform you that your brand ambassador Logan Hayes has been involved in a public adultery scandal that's currently spreading through social media in our community. As someone who's purchased your products, I'm concerned about the association between your brand and this individual's behavior. Please see attached documentation." Each email included the video of Logan's shrimp-induced meltdown, along with screenshots of his social media posts that could be interpreted as evidence of steroid use or inappropriate behavior. By Tuesday afternoon, Logan's world was collapsing. Apex Nutrition suspended his sponsorship pending investigation. Iron Temple put him on temporary leave. FlexFit dropped him entirely. His social media followers were asking questions he couldn't answer without admitting to the affair. His income stream was drying up faster than a puddle in August. But I wasn't finished with him yet. Tuesday evening, my phone rang while I was making dinner. The caller ID showed Aaron's number, but when I answered, Logan's voice filled my ear. "You son of a bitch!" "Logan, how nice to hear from you. How's the unemployment treating you? You think you're smart, don't you? Destroying my business, ruining my reputation. I think I'm thorough. There's a difference. This isn't over. You're right about that." I stirred the pasta sauce calmly. It's not over until I say it's over. And Logan, I'm just getting started. You can't prove anything, can I? I chuckled. Want to bet? I've got photos, videos, audio recordings, and a very motivated ex-wife who knows where all your bodies are buried. How much evidence do you think I need? The line went quiet for a long moment. What do you want? Logan's voice had lost its cocky edge. I want you gone. Out of town, out of Aaron's life, and out of my sight. You've got 48 hours. And if I don't? Then everyone in this town gets to see the video of you and my wife in your apartment last Friday. Every detail, every word, every sweaty, pathetic second of it. Think your remaining sponsors will stick around after that? I heard him breathing heavily on the other end. You're bluffing. Am I? Check your email in 10 minutes. I hung up and sent Logan a 30-second clip from Friday's recording, just enough to prove I had the goods, not enough to satisfy anyone's curiosity. Then I called Sophie. It's time, I told her. I'll start the eviction paperwork tonight. How's everything else going? Like clockwork. Logan's sponsors are dropping him, Aaron's real estate career is in free fall, and the whole town is talking. It's beautiful. You know, Sophie said thoughtfully, I always wondered what would happen if someone finally stood up to those two. Logan's been skating by on charm and abs for years, and your wife, well, she's had this coming. You sound like you know her. Honey, this is a small town. Erin Morrison's been looking down her nose at the rest of us since high school. She married you because you were stable and reliable, but she never stopped thinking she deserved better. Logan made her feel special, like she was too good for her boring life. And now she's about to learn that boring has its advantages, like loyalty, like integrity, like not screwing over the people who love you. Wednesday morning brought fresh disasters for Team Adultery. I woke up to find 17 missed calls on my phone, 12 from Aaron, 5 from Logan. Neither of them had left voicemails, which told me everything I needed to know about their mental state. Kim was already at the breakfast table when I came downstairs, scrolling through her phone with obvious amusement. Dad, you need to see this. She showed me her screen. Someone had created a Facebook group called Logan Hayes Drama Updates that already had over 300 members. The posts were savage. Update. Iron Temple Gym confirms Logan Hayes is no longer employed there. Apparently multiple complaints about unprofessional conduct. My friend works at Apex Nutrition. She says they're pulling all his promotional materials and considering legal action for breach of contract. Anyone else notice his Instagram followers are dropping like flies? Down to 11K from 14K yesterday? I heard he's getting evicted from his fancy loft. Karma much? That last post made me grin. Sophie worked fast. My phone buzzed with a text from Phil. Coffee? I've got news. We met at the diner downtown, away from prying eyes and gossiping neighbors. Phil looked like he hadn't slept much. Jesus, Nate. The whole town's talking about this. Aaron's a wreck, Logan's disappeared, and everyone's taking sides. What kind of sides? Most people are Team Nate. Turns out Logan pissed off a lot of folks over the years, and Erin wasn't as popular as she thought. But her friends are circling the wagons. Let them. What's your news? Phil leaned forward conspiratorially. Marcy Chen called my wife last night. Apparently, Erin's been staying at her place since Sunday, crying nonstop and talking about getting a lawyer. Good luck with that. Everything I've done is perfectly legal. That's not all. Marcy says Aaron's been getting calls from angry clients all day. Word spreading about the open house incident, and people are requesting different agents. Her boss is furious. The satisfaction was almost overwhelming. Aaron had built her identity around being successful, respected, envied. Watching it all crumble was like Christmas morning. There's more, Phil continued. Logan's been calling around looking for a job. Nobody wants to touch him. The gym owners all talk to each other, and his reputation's shot. Sophie wasn't kidding about the eviction either. He's got until Friday to get out. Where's he staying? Nobody knows. His truck's been spotted at different motels around town, but he keeps moving. Guy's paranoid as hell. That afternoon, I decided it was time to visit my wife. Marcy Chen lived in a modest ranch house on the wrong side of town, a far cry from the upscale neighborhood where Aaron and I had built our life together. I knocked on the front door and waited. Marcy answered, looking haggard and nervous. Nate. What do you want? To talk to my wife. She doesn't want to see you. I'm sure she doesn't. But we need to discuss the divorce. Marcy's eyes widened. Divorce? Did she not mention that? Interesting. Where is she, Marcy? Before Marcy could answer, Aaron appeared behind her. She looked terrible, red eyes, tangled hair, wearing the same clothes I'd seen her in yesterday. The polished real estate professional was gone, replaced by a broken woman who'd lost everything. What do you want? She asked. To discuss terms. Can we talk privately? Anything you have to say, you can say in front of Marcy. Okay. I want a divorce. I'm keeping the house, the savings account, and custody of Kim. You can have your car and whatever personal belongings you can carry. Non-negotiable. You can't do that. Actually, I can. Adultery is still grounds for divorce in this state, and I have enough evidence to bury you in court. Plus, Kim's 17 and old enough to choose which parent she lives with. Want to guess who she'll pick? Aaron's face crumpled. This is all your fault. You drove me to this. I drove you to Logan's apartment? I drove you to lie and cheat and humiliate me in front of our friends? That's fascinating logic. You never paid attention to me. You never made me feel special. I worked 60 hours a week to pay for your BMW and your designer clothes and your fancy dinners. I came home every night, helped with homework, fixed everything that broke, and never once looked at another woman. But you're right, I never made you feel special. I just made you feel secure. My mistake. Marcy was backing away from the confrontation, clearly uncomfortable with the raw emotion on display. I loved you, Aaron whispered. No, you loved what I provided. There's a difference. Love doesn't screw the fitness instructor and then laugh about it with her friends. Logan made me feel alive again. How's that working out for you now? Still feeling alive or just feeling stupid? She didn't answer, which was answer enough. You have until Friday to decide, I continued. Sign the divorce papers and accept my terms, or we go to court and I destroy what's left of your reputation with every photo, video, and recording I have. Your choice. I turned to leave, then stopped. Oh, and Aaron? You might want to call Logan. Last I heard, he was looking for a place to stay. Maybe you two can find a nice cardboard box to share. Thursday brought the beginning of the end. Logan's eviction was scheduled for Friday morning, but he apparently decided not to wait for the sheriff. His truck disappeared from the motel parking lot where it had been spotted Wednesday night. By afternoon, word was spreading that he'd left town entirely. Aaron showed up at our house that evening while Kim was at a friend's place. She looked even worse than before, if that was possible. He's gone, she said without preamble. Logan? Yeah, I heard. He won't return my calls. Won't answer my texts. He just left. What did you expect? You were his meal ticket, and the restaurant closed. Logan doesn't stick around when the party's over. She slumped into a kitchen chair like a deflated balloon. I threw away 18 years for nothing. You threw away 18 years for 6 months of feeling special. Was it worth it? Don't. Her voice was barely a whisper. Please don't. For a moment I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. Then I remembered Tuesday night's dinner, and Logan's smug smile, and the sound of her laughing while her best friend called me clueless. The divorce papers are on the counter, I said. Sign them. She looked at the documents like they were a death sentence. What about Kim? Kim's staying with me. She's already made that clear. And the house? Mine. You can visit Kim here, but you don't live here anymore. Where am I supposed to go? That's not my problem anymore, Aaron. You made your choice. Now live with it. She signed the papers with shaking hands, tears dropping onto the legal documents that would officially end our marriage. When she finished, she looked up at me with something like hope. Maybe we could try again someday, when this all blows over. I stared at her for a long moment, this woman I'd loved for half my adult life, who'd thrown everything away for a few months of excitement. No, I said quietly. We couldn't. She left that night and never came back. Friday morning dawned with the kind of violent thunderstorm that made the house shake and the lights flicker. I stood at my kitchen window, watching lightning split the sky while rain hammered the roof. It felt appropriate, like the weather was matching the chaos I'd unleashed over the past week. Kim sat at the breakfast table, scrolling through her phone and occasionally snorting with laughter. The Facebook group's up to 800 members now, she reported. Someone posted a photo of Logan's empty apartment with the caption, "Bye, Felicia." It's got 200 likes already. People need hobbies. Dad, you literally destroyed 2 people's lives in 5 days. You're like the suburban Batman. Batman doesn't get divorced. Fair point. She looked up from her phone. Mom called me last night. I turned from the window. What did she say? That she was sorry. That she made mistakes. That she hoped we could still have a relationship. Kim shrugged. I told her we'd see. How do you feel about all this? Honestly? Relieved. The tension in this house was killing me. At least now everything's out in the open. Smart kid. She'd handled this whole mess better than either of her parents. Around noon, Phil called with an update. Logan's truck was spotted at a rest stop about 50 miles south, he reported. Looks like he's really gone. Sophie's already got new tenants lined up for his apartment. Good riddance. There's something else. Marcy Chen's been talking to anyone who'll listen, trying to spin this whole thing as your fault. Says you were controlling and jealous, drove Aaron to cheat. Let her talk. Actions speak louder than gossip. Maybe, but she's got Tasha and a few others convinced. They're planning some kind of intervention. Intervention for what? To get Aaron and Logan back together. Apparently they think true love conquers all or some bullshit like that. I laughed. Good luck finding Logan. Last I heard, he was headed for Florida with a truck full of protein powder and broken dreams. That evening, the storm intensified. Wind howled around the house, and the power flickered on and off every few minutes. Kim was upstairs doing homework by lamplight, and I was in the living room reading when the doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone, especially not in weather like this. I opened the door to find Aaron standing on my porch, soaked to the skin and shivering. Behind her, barely visible through the rain, sat an unfamiliar sedan. We need to talk, she said. We already talked. You signed the papers. Please, Nate. Just 5 minutes. Against my better judgment, I let her in. She dripped on the hardwood floor, looking like a drowned cat. The confident real estate agent was completely gone, replaced by a desperate woman with nothing left to lose. Logan came back, she said without preamble. Did he now? He's in the car. He wants to apologize. I looked past her toward the sedan. Sure enough, I could make out a figure in the driver's seat. Apologize for what? Screwing my wife or getting caught? For everything. We both want to apologize. We made mistakes, but we're trying to fix things. By showing up at my house during a thunderstorm? That's your plan? We want to start over. All of us. Put this behind us and move forward. I stared at her in disbelief. You think I want to be friends with the man who was fucking my wife? Don't be crude. I'll be whatever I want to be in my own house. Which, by the way, you don't live in anymore. Outside, a car door slammed. Logan appeared on the porch, just as soaked as Aaron, but trying to maintain his usual swagger. He'd lost weight over the past week, and his perfect hair was plastered to his skull. Nate, he said, extending his hand like we were old buddies. Can we talk man to man? I ignored the handshake. Talk about what? About moving past this. What happened between Aaron and me, it just happened. Nobody meant to hurt anyone. It just happened? For 6 months? Look, I know you're angry. I'm not angry, Logan. I'm done. There's a difference. We could all be adults about this. Aaron and I care about each other, but we don't want to destroy families. Maybe we could work out some kind of arrangement. The audacity was breathtaking. What kind of arrangement? You and Aaron stay married for appearances, Kim gets stability, and Aaron and I, well, we keep things discreet. I looked from Logan to Aaron and back again. You want me to agree to an open marriage so you two can keep screwing around without consequences. It's not that simple. It's exactly that simple. You want your cake and eat it too. Well, here's a newsflash. The bakery's closed. Logan's fake friendliness was starting to crack. Come on, man. Be reasonable. Fighting about this isn't helping anyone. I'm not fighting. I already won. Won what? You destroyed your marriage, alienated your wife, and turned the whole town against us. What did you win? My self-respect, my daughter's respect, and the satisfaction of watching two selfish assholes face consequences for their actions. Logan took a step forward, his jaw tightening. You think you're so much better than us? I think I'm honest. That puts me ahead of both of you. Honest? You sabotaged my career, ruined my reputation, and cost me everything I worked for. That's honest? You sabotaged your own career when you decided to screw a married woman and brag about it. I just made sure everyone knew what kind of person you really are. The mask was fully off now. Logan's face was red with anger, his fists clenched at his sides. You smug son of a bitch. You think you're so smart. Smarter than the guy who got run out of town for banging someone else's wife, yeah. Logan lunged forward, but I was ready. 20 years of military training doesn't disappear just because you manage a warehouse. I sidestepped his clumsy charge and let his momentum carry him past me into the living room. He spun around, breathing hard. You want to do this the hard way? Logan, don't, Aaron pleaded. This isn't what we came here for. Shut up, Aaron. I'm tired of this asshole thinking he's better than everyone. I don't think I'm better than everyone, I said calmly. Just better than you, which isn't exactly a high bar. He came at me again, this time with more control. I caught his punch, twisted his arm behind his back, and drove him face first into the wall. He struggled for a moment, then went limp. Here's what's going to happen, I said quietly in his ear. You're going to walk out of my house, get in your car, and disappear. If I see you again, if you contact my daughter, if you even drive down my street, I'll finish what we started here. Are we clear? Clear, he gasped. I released him and stepped back. Logan straightened his shirt and glared at me, but the fight had gone out of him. He looked at Aaron, who was pressed against the wall with tears streaming down her face. This isn't over, he muttered. Yeah, it is. Logan stalked toward the door, then stopped and turned back. You know what your problem is, Nate? You're boring. Aaron told me herself. You're the most boring man she's ever known. That's why she came to me. That's why she'll always come back to men like me. Maybe, I said, but boring men don't get run out of town in disgrace. Boring men don't lose their jobs and their apartments and their reputations. Boring men don't end up alone in cheap motels, calling their ex-wives' husbands to beg for forgiveness. Logan's face went white. Without another word, he pushed past Aaron and disappeared into the storm. Aaron lingered in the doorway, looking lost and broken. "He's right about one thing," she said quietly. "You are boring. I know. But boring doesn't mean worthless. I forgot that." "Yeah, you did. I'm sorry, Nate. For all of it." "I know you are. But sorry doesn't fix anything." She nodded and walked out into the rain. I watched her get into the sedan and drive away, probably for the last time. Kim appeared at the top of the stairs in her pajamas. "Everything okay down there?" "Everything's fine. Logan and your mother came to apologize." "How'd that go?" "About as well as you'd expect. She came downstairs and hugged me, something she hadn't done in months." "I'm proud of you, Dad." "For what?" "For not letting them walk all over you. For standing up for yourself. For showing me what self-respect looks like." Outside, thunder rolled across the sky and lightning illuminated the empty street. The storm was beginning to pass, leaving the air clean and fresh. Inside my house, not ours anymore, everything was quiet and peaceful. For the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. The next morning, I woke up to sunshine and silence. No drama, no confrontations, no cheating wife or arrogant boyfriend to deal with. Just me, my daughter, and the life we were going to build together. Kim was already at the breakfast table when I came downstairs, grinning at her phone. "You're not going to believe this," she said. "Someone posted security footage of Logan getting arrested at a gas station in South Carolina. Apparently he tried to steal a tank of gas and got tased by the cops." I poured coffee and sat down across from her. Karma's a bitch. The comments are savage. From fitness influencer to gas station thief in 1 week. Logan Hayes' fall from grace continues. My personal favorite, maybe he should have stayed in his lane instead of someone else's marriage. What about your mother? Radio silence. Marcy posted something about supporting friends through difficult times, but nobody's engaging with it. I think even her supporters are getting tired of the drama. My phone buzzed with a text from Sophie. Logan's apartment is officially re-rented. New tenants move in Monday. Thought you'd want to know the last trace of that asshole is gone. I showed Kim the message. She raised her orange juice glass in a mock toast. To new beginnings? To new beginnings. We clinked glasses as sunlight streamed through the kitchen windows, illuminating the house that was finally, truly, ours again. Outside, the neighborhood was waking up to a world where Logan Hayes was just a cautionary tale and Aaron Morrison was yesterday's news. I'd kept my promise to myself. I'd flipped the punchline, and the joke was no longer on me. 6 months later, I got a postcard from Florida. No return address, but I recognized Logan's handwriting. "You win. Hope you're happy." I was.